A very good morning to one and all gathered here. I am Jennifer from the Office of Alumni and Corporate Relations. I am very happy to invite you all for the Ruby reunion of the batch of 1983. I request you all to please rise for the Tamil Thai Valthu, followed by a song Vande Matram.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வண்ணமென திகழத கண்களும் தெக்கணமும் மதிசிறந்ததும் தக்க சிறு பிறனுடலும் தரிதனரும் திலகமுமே ஆத்திரகம் மனசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் இருந்த பெரும் திறமையந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்தும்
I take this opportunity to invite Professor Mahesh Panchagnala, Dean Alumni and Corporate Relations, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning. Welcome back to Iit Madras. Welcome back to your alma mater. I hope your reunion has been a pleasant experience thus far, and I'm sure it will be an overwhelmingly pleasant experience by the time we're done. Nishani and team do a fantastic job of pulling together these sorts of reunions, and our alumni association is the best alumni association in India, for sure. The first start with a round of applause. In 1983, when you were young men and women graduating out of this institution, you had studied hard for, at least studied hard for 5 years as students here, but I'm sure you had already studied hard a little bit before then to get into this institution, to secure a seat here and to really do well in academics. And that was also the year, that I was in 9th grade. And I still remember in 1984, I'm a graduate of the class of 92, 9 years after you. In 1984, when Indira Gandhi was killed in the morning, I was at a school, high school science fair. And we were excited about all these exhibits in Hyderabad. Then we get this news that this whole place had to be shut down, and we had to walk back home because at 10 in the morning they already shut all modes of transportation. And I'm only recollecting this incident because it stands vividly in my memory. And the years before that were all years of it was a very different India. An India where starting a business meant getting license from somebody up above. An India where either a government job or a bank job was the most sought after job. An India where um, you really needed to prove your mettle over and over and over again before you were rewarded or recognized. Today's India is very different, and as a result, today's IIT Madras is also very different. Whenever I talk to reunion classes, even class of 2018, they come back for quote unquote their 5 year reunion. We don't do 5 year reunions, but if anybody came back 5 years since graduation, they'll find something has changed here. Oh, these pictures were not there 5 years ago. Quite literally true. This auditorium was not called the AMM Auditorium. Starting with little things like this, there's a whole slew of pictures that are very recognizably, perceptibly different, and those have a long-term impact on the way students perceive and live their life here. Over the last 60 plus years of IIT Madras, 64 years to be precise, that's the age of IIT Madras. IIT Madras was born on July 31, 1959. Right? You must all be about 1959 vintage, right? Most of you. So I figured that. So, what's that? Born in Chennai. Anybody July 31 here? Coincident. So, the idea of, that's exactly the reason I brought this up. The age of IIT Madras is your age. The only difference is, 83 batch. Okay. The IIT is 83 batch. The only difference is in university years, we are probably just a teenager. There are universities that are 300-400 years old and still growing. So in that sense, while you may have lived about half your life, IIT has barely lived its teenage years. So what you should really look at is yourself when you were a teenager and say, what were your wishes and wants like? What were your aspirations like? And IIT Madras today is roughly thinking like that in the institution. We want to be known as one of the best in the world. We want to really be able to make a difference to the thousands and thousands of students who graduate from here in a very different way. We want to see our inventions, our discoveries, our science and technologies developed here to be of use by the society at large. We want to graduate engineers and scientists who can go on to do good things in a very tangibly impactful manner. All of these aspects of IIT Madras, which could be sort of arising out of a very romantic view of the world, like any good teenager should have of the world at large. This very romantic view that IIT as an institution holds of the world at large is very energetic. It is very energizing for everybody involved in this mission to create one of the best institutions in the world. I don't want to reiterate the fact without reiterating the fact or by reiterating the fact that we are number one in the country 8 years in a row. I don't want to say that. But that's not a laurel to rest on after you've done it for 8 years. Maybe it was a laurel to rest on for the first year, second year. But when you're really among the best in the world, you really want to be among the best in the world. You want to be recognized by that peer community of universities. That is also happening in a small way now. We see dozens and dozens of universities coming to explore joint degree programs with IIT Madras. Some of the best universities in the world want to do joint degree programs with IIT Madras. Some of the best industries in the world, some of the best companies in the world do their work here with IIT Madras, both research, development, working with our students through placement. There are many different activities that companies take up. All of these are towards, all of these have their source in one big asset that this institution owns, which is the brand IIT Madras. That brand is very strong, okay, across the country and across the world. And it is very strong because of all of you. All of the tens of thousands of alumni who have graduated out of this institution, and as flag bearers, you've gone out, you've done well in your own professional careers, held your personal life together as a role model to your local communities. And today, a little bit of that punya is rubbing off on the institution that graduated you. Right? And so every time you go do well in your own endeavor, you are passing on a little bit of that goodwill back to your alma mater. Oh, this person is an IIT Madras graduate. He does a lot of service in the community. Invariably, what that is implying is a lot of IIT Madras alumni may be doing service in the community, which may or may not be true, but every good deed that you or your other brothers and sisters in the alumni base have all done adds to the brand value of IIT Madras. That brand is exceptionally strong. Exceptionally strong. I'm humbled every day. I pull out my business card to give to somebody. The quality of people that are perfectly happy to meet with me for half an hour. People that are completely inaccessible otherwise are ready to meet with me only because I am an IIT Madras professor. And so that brand is something that's always very humbling to those of us that are still professionally associated with the brand. And we are in complete cognizance of the fact that this was not built by Mahesh or Kamakoti. This was built by the tens of thousands of alumni, thousands of faculty members who taught you when you were younger, who worked very hard under very difficult circumstances to do whatever little research they could, whatever they needed to contribute that day. All of these are stories that we will never forget. As an aside, I don't know if Heritage Center is part of your day today. You must visit. You will see dozens and dozens of these stories of producing exceptional work under very difficult circumstances showcased there. Those are the stories that hold IIT Madras together. Those are the reasons why you chose to come to IIT Madras, where you could just as well have gone to any other college in the country. Those are the reasons why even today IIT Madras is aspiring to be among the best in the world. If you can think of how many brands globally have been created through this sort of organic ginning up of a mission-oriented effort, the purely government funding. Essentially, government put some money, left a group of people alone and said, go build a world-class institution. And 60 years later, here we are at an institution that is the best in the country, aspiring to be world-class. It's a very realistic position to be in. If you go scout the whole world and ask, is there anything like this anywhere else in the world? The only two examples I could think of is NASA, the brand NASA. Right? It's built by hundreds of billions of dollars of investment that went into creating that entity, and NASA as a brand is recognized globally. And today ISRO, again primarily government funded, and they're very mission oriented. They said we have to make these 2 or 3 things a grand success, and then you focus on it, you make it a success. So these sorts of groups of people that come together with a mission, with government support, creating a movement of sort. Talk of movement, Lazar would be happy to hear this. I teach a class in fluid dynamics. This semester I'm teaching an undergrad class in fluid dynamics. And I got to the last 10th of my class and I was introducing compressible flows. And I asked, this is the body of knowledge that is absolutely the bare minimum you need to build a rocket. And then I just asked a show of hands. How many of you would like to go work for ISRO today? And one of the boys smartly asked, what does ISRO pay an entry-level engineer? Okay, and I said it should be somewhere between 12 to 15 lakhs. Maybe a little more. And immediately a bunch of hands went up. Okay, where the median salary at IIT Madras is more than 12 to 15 lakhs. So in their mind, they quickly made a computation that I'll have a reasonably good standard of life, but I'm working for a mission. So I'm willing to take whatever that pay cut meant in his or her mind. This is a result of a bunch of people coming together and articulating a mission. When Mr. Somnath was here a few months months ago. He says he gave a talk on how we are going to put a man on the moon and bring him back home safely. What the US did many years ago. But for India, it's a big step forward to say we're going to put a person in space and bring that person back home. Each of these are missions that motivate people like nothing else can. So IIT Madras also has its mission. We have 2 or 3 such missions. We want to make sure, first mission, IIT quality education is accessible to a much larger group of people. So in that direction, we have today 2 very successful online degree programs, bachelor's programs, that total have about 35,000 students enrolled and learning. We could never build a physical campus for 35,000 students and deliver IIT quality education. Whereas using the power of online media, we are able to do this. That's the first mission, to take education much farther than where we could, whether it is in 1983 or in 1992. The second mission that we are on is to see impactful technologies be developed here that the society at large will embrace and use. Everything from developing India's own 5G standards and communications technology to developing technologies that will keep our lakes and water bodies clean. The whole range of technologies are all fair game, and we have hundreds of faculty members who are motivated to work on their own piece in this broad spectrum of technologies that will be deployed very soon for the use of the greater society. That's the second part of the mission. Third part of the mission is to make sure that every student that enters IIT Madras has a seamless, pleasurable experience while here, including their workshop time. I'm sure each of you has your own fond memories of the workshop, right? We want to make sure their entire time here is something they fondly remember and they actually have value added to them while here. Very often, there is a saying that says, I am who I am in spite of IIT Madras. Some of us say, I am who I am because of IIT Madras, right? We want to have more students say, I am who I am because of IIT Madras, not in spite of IIT Madras. I'm sure in your own class, there'll be a small group of people who think IIT Madras was a necessary 4 years to spend because they were reasonably good in their own pursuits. But I'm sure you were the last 5 years, correct, the 5 year. And but I'm sure along the way there were also people who thought they really learnt a lot here that held them in good stead, for their professional careers. Increasingly, we want to see students who can learn what they need to learn for their professional success, whether it be in the classroom or outside the classroom. We have a lot of programs to graduate more well-rounded students for the country to benefit from. I'll stop by giving you one last piece of stat. I said country to benefit from. I'm sure in the year 1983, I'll say more than 83% of you left India to find opportunities outside India. But today, more than 93% stay back in India. Only about 7 to 8% leave India for good reasons of their own. More than 93% of our graduates are right here, contributing to whatever companies and industry and organizations they work for, paying Indian income tax in abundance. So the loop for their tuition subsidy that educated them is closed. So that's the India we live in today. That's the India into which our students are graduating. And those are our aspirations. I'll stop here. I'm happy to take any questions that any of you may have. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear that we've been number one for the past 8 years. What comes to my mind is, should we be using a different yardstick from what's been used previously? We have the potential to make significant social impact. And I know we are. But we are also sitting on a very unique value proposition, which is that today IIT Madras has a world-class not just engineering, not just science, but management as well.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to really fuse these disciplines to provide overall solutions. It could be an engineering solution, it could be a management solution, it could be a combination of both, and that's our unique positioning. When we look at some national level problems that we have, just a few examples. Pollution in Delhi,
Yeah.
flooding in Bombay, flooding in Bangalore, water problem between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
All of these issues have solutions.
Yeah.
Right? And I think for us to be able to graduate from being advisors in science and technology to the Prime Minister of India, we should become some kind of technology/management consultants to help drive solving some of these issues. And that's the kind of social impact that I think we should be striving for to be at that number one level. Maybe there are initiatives in place, but at that level is really what I'm saying, that's what we should aspire to be.
Wonderful idea. That last word, technology/management consultant, is something that has been bouncing in my head for about a year and a half now. I've talked to many different stakeholders to get a view of what this should look like. What you just said, I'll take as validation of this idea, and I'll certainly act on it. But I want to answer
I'm happy to contribute.
Wonderful, thank you. The broader point you make of not just being an advisor, but to become an implementer and actually make a difference on ground is something that a lot of our faculty are very excited about. I want to also point out why this should not excite all the faculty. The reason is, this is an academic institution. Okay, we have to, our main mission, like any good university, is to produce original knowledge. Someone else should take that knowledge and deploy it on ground for the benefit of society. That's the value chain, essentially. But if some of our faculty also want to take that second step, we will not stop them. But we should be very clear that a university's main job is to produce original knowledge.
But I'm going to disagree a little bit here, right? Which is, while I appreciate the mission and we are fulfilling that mission admirably, with the fact that we have a management school, we have additional potential.
Yeah.
Right? And I liked what you said, which is some faculty, we should not stop them. I think what I'm trying to say is, let's change that narrative a little bit and say it's not just about not stop them, it's about create avenues to encourage more such things.
Sure.
And I think that's really where our value add is going to come. Because if our objective is just to be excellent academic dispensers of knowledge, I think that's a limiting...
Agreed. So, look, one of my colleagues says this best. There is room for all of us. So, if somebody wants to sit and pen and paper prove theorems, I'll just give you an example. Navier-Stokes equations, which govern the world of fluid dynamics, there is no proof for the existence of a solution given a well-posed problem. So it's just a very high-level mathematical problem that is yet to be solved. It's a grand challenge. I wish some of my colleagues cracked the problem before somebody somewhere else, right? Now, what is the chance of this finding utility later on? There is a process, but not immediate. But on the other hand, I have faculty members who want to actually develop models of a local lake, do a simulation of a local lake, algae growth in a local lake, and actually make sure you create a sustainable water body. They hire a third party to actually go dredge the lake the way they want it done, make sure it is done correctly. So these are people who are also writing papers, good papers, but they are also interested in this last mile for technology deployment. So there is room for all of us. And to your point earlier, as our previous director, Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy would say, if you are first graduate in a largely illiterate family, you will be called upon to do everything from changing the bank password to light bulb in your home. So Iit Madras, for a long time, IITs broadly have been in that bucket. Like anything and everything in the country that involved some technology, advising, consulting, doing, we were the sort of the agencies that we were looked up to. Okay, and that still remains to some extent. And we do not shirk away from that role. Like I'll just give you a complete out-of-the-box example. Dozens of our faculty get called into courts to testify as expert witnesses. There could be an accident, one of our tire experts gets called in to testify whether it was the tire's fault or not. Okay, so the courts, taking the courts as an example because they trust IIT testimony. So there's dozens of these kinds of work that an MIT prof would largely not get involved in, because there are other agencies that do just as good a job as an MIT could do. Whereas in India, everything is fair game for an IIT. So in some sense, that's sort of where we are.
Hi there. I had a
You're audible.
sorry. I had a question about the online training. So, and sorry, I've not done my homework. I should have checked
No problem.
before I asked the question. But are there like specific certificate programs?
Yeah.
And what the criteria for entry are and things like that?
So there are 2 degree programs and lots of certification programs. Okay, hundreds of certification programs. The 2 degree programs are, there is a BS in Programming and Data Science. It's a 4-year BS program. And there's a second program called BS in Electronic Systems Design and Manufacturing, ESDM. So these are 2 areas where India has a big need for high quality workforce in large numbers. And so we've invested our resources to create online only curricula for these 2 programs. And on certification level, there's hundreds of certification programs, everything from 4 weeks to 8 weeks, 16 weeks, that run constantly, where students take, they learn online and take an exam at the end to win a certificate in some sense.
Criteria for it, signing up?
So the degree programs, the criteria is very low. So fundamentally, JEE that you all wrote is a model where you filter at the inlet stage and you sort of let the students breeze through their 5 years practically, right? Almost nobody is delayed beyond the 5-year span. Whereas in the online mode, you are not restricted by physical infrastructure. So we admit 15,000 students, but the graduation process is very stringent. They have to get an A grade in every course to move to the next course. And in that process, about 12,000 students who were admitted 4 years ago, out of the 12,000 students who were admitted 4 years ago, only about 200 are on track to get their BS degree in 4 years' time. So the filtration efficiency is the same as JEE, except the remaining 19,800 students have a taste of what good quality education feels and looks like. Right? That can be done at a very low cost on the online medium. That's the advantage of the online medium. The online infrastructure. Sure, online infrastructure scales by just investment. It's all running on the cloud, Amazon Web Services. The whole set of videos are on YouTube. In fact, we were the first, NPTEL was the first institutional customer for YouTube. YouTube took birth right around the time when we had conceived of our online learning. So we are one of the first institutional free customers on YouTube. There's a visit planned to the online, to the distance education cell. Good. Thank you very much. And we'll meet you again during lunch.
Thank you, Professor. Next, we have a very special address by Professor Piyush Ghosh. I invite Sujata ma'am from the Office of Alumni and Corporate Relations to introduce Professor Piyush Ghosh.
Good morning, everyone. Professor Piyush is a faculty member, Department of Applied Mechanics and Biomedical Engineering. I visited his lab with 2 alumni 2 weeks ago, and he made a presentation of what he does, and I found it was really fabulous, the kind of impact that he is working on. It's to reach out to school children and get them interested in the scientific way of thinking. So that's why I requested if he could come and make a presentation to us today. So he's here. So thank you, sir.
So namaste and very good morning. It's to come back to your institute So many memories, so many activities you have had, and I'm sure all of them, at least most of them, are surfacing to your mind as you go around the campus. And this rain always adds to that. It keeps you together and let you enjoy and recap and recollect those memories. So, as you agree and you know that we are a very rich campus. And not only this Iit Madras, the other IITs as well, we are very rich in terms, not only just in terms of technology, in many other aspects, as you were telling. And many of our colleagues, we actually believe that it is important that we take this richness to the rural domain that will benefit the country in several different ways. And so we are, many of us, many of our colleagues, we are working on directly on that, like taking the lab's expertise and experience to the rural space and trying to not only bring a good quality education, but also see if we can create the livelihood for them. So we work in the rural education and skill development area, which I thought I will share with you. And if you find it is useful and meaningful, then we can work together in many at different capacities. So we started. Yeah, that would be good. We started this this initiative called Teach to Learn at Iit Madras about 10 years back. The major focus is education. And now also along with education, we have realized it's important looking at the demographic distribution. We realize that it's important to have a livelihood, to work towards skill development and livelihood as well. And we as in our campus, we have that potential to do so. So Teach to Learn is an initiative within IIT campus. It's not an NGO, nothing. It's just an initiative in the Department of Applied Mechanics and Biomedical Engineering. The objective here is to connect the students of the premier institute of the country with the students of rural schools applying different education models. So that's the main thing. So now these are some of the education models that you have listed here: one lab, one school, trend, C-4, teaching, 10, Dell. The idea is that each model has its core objective. And there are different spin-off benefits out of that as well. Now, when I say different objectives, I mean some of these are for communications development, skill development. Some of them are for scientific thinking. Some of them are for skill development and things like that. And in this particular presentation, which is, I will not take it long, 10 to 12 minutes, I will talk about Dell, which is a device engineering lab, because we find that now it is extremely important that we skill these rural kids, the school students, on different aspects. This is our team at present at Teach to Learn. This is the core team, and then of course we work with Iit Madras volunteers. We get a lot of volunteers across the campus, and believe me, they are really good. We just need to give them the platform. They can come and then deliver. A lot of times it happens that they don't get a time to actually start things by their own because of their academic schedules and activities. But as a faculty member, we feel that if we can give them the platform, there are many students who come and actually do a wonderful job using that platform. So we feel that it is our responsibility of the faculty to actually build such platforms where the students can come and deliver and work for the society. And Iit Madras is taking a lot of initiatives in this respect. Now, let's come to this device engineering lab straight away. I will not talk about the other models, which is there in our web page in details, but here I'll just focus on this device engineering lab. So essentially, this device engineering lab, the objective is, I will come to this, what is this device and what are the detailed activities. But the broader objective is to inculcate in them the scientific thinking. The hands-on learning is important. And then most important, what we are actually focusing on is making or manufacturing at the school level. I think I will go without this mic. That way, yeah, on my own voice. But are you being recorded? You don't have collar mic is not there? So, so the most important part is that what we are focusing on is the making or manufacturing at the school level. Don't take it otherwise. Like I feel, this is again from my personal experience, if you ask we have about 700 IT faculty. If you ask them to manufacture one toy from the scratch and hand it over to Amazon for selling, I think 50% of us will not be able to do so unless we spend some time on it, including myself. The reason is not about IIT or anything, is because from the school level itself, we do not have that culture to touch something and do and build from the scratch. I feel, or we feel, that we really need that culture to grow from the level. Making in India may not happen overnight, but it has to be a culture that has to be built from the school level. They need not have all the technical expertise at the school level to have that mindset that, okay, I can do it, do it. I think that's the belief we have behind this, we believe in. So that is a thing. And the other thing, a lot of times what we notice is that we can make it, but then we can't take it to the market. That is also missing. Now we have that expertise in our campus where we can train this one skill set. So as a part of our program, not only thinking but more thought in the making and manufacturing at the school level, and give them some entrepreneurial exposure, so that if not today, down the road, 3 years or 4 years, 5 years, when they're in the graduate school, they can think, okay, I think I have everything that I need to actually start my own my entrepreneurial setup. So that is the kind of package that we are thinking in that direction. So for example, as you see here, these are some of the things just that our students started making. This is a knitting machine, which is made. This is a very simple hand fan, but then everything here is made by the students now. So now literally this is, with a little bit of more polishing, it is ready to go to the market. It's a very simple thing, nothing, a simple motor there. But then starting from everything from the scratch, making these blades, making these casings, and miniaturizing this motor, everything now our Iit Madras, the scholars and the rural kids, they together are making it. So this is a finished product, ready to go is the objective here. Okay. And as I just the last, so just to read, I don't know how it goes back. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So as it is written here, that through this lab, the students of government schools, we are talking about government schools, by that we mean the rural students, will learn to make, particularly applying additive manufacturing. I will later elaborate why it is additive manufacturing, toys, homewares, education tools from scratch, besides understanding the working principle involved in these through hands-on learning. We have to be very careful because we are hitting our beneficiaries are the school students. So we also have to make sure that we are not just producing a technicians or just somebody who can manufacture it. We also need to inculcate in them the scientific the thought process. So we don't just stop in giving the training on making it, but also the working principle behind it, so that they actually get benefited out of that in terms of their school curriculum, exam, and also in future. So that's why we plan our things in that way. So now let me just give you these devices. I think, it's all here. Devices, and why these devices? Let me just quickly give you an idea, and then it will perhaps make more sense to this. These are some of these examples of these devices that you are seeing here. Now, if you look at these devices, so all of these devices that you see here are very basics and very fundamental. Like we start as simple as with a soap dispenser, which we have been last 2-3 years, sanitizer dispenser or soap dispenser we are using like left and right. So we start with a very basic device. So the very basic device of this soap, how this work? I mean, we all know it, we were using it, but if you would have asked me 1 year back also how can I make it, I would have said no. But now, because of this program, I can do that. The simplest meshing device that you think. Do the students know how it works? It works only on the principle of very simple spring in the back of principle. But we integrate this idea and then actually make them understand about this. So this is a device that we're starting with, and then we gradually making it more complex. For example, polymer we have, everybody in our home, we have this. But what is inside? What makes it this ding dong sound? And how can this be a very good example of electromagnetism? These are very basic devices, as you see, the day-to-day devices that we use, number one. Number two is, they are not expensive. So if you look at these devices, all of these devices, let me pick for example, this one. I mean, all these, they cost at the most 1,000 rupees. What does it mean? it means not only the students, it is important that the schools can afford to also buy it if required. If you buy 50,000, 60,000 equipment, first thing the school will tell is, hey, can you just give us? We can't afford to. So we look at the reality, and those devices are basically cheap, they are daily use, and the most important thing is that they are anything that you take the school, if it is not syllabus compliant, it is not something very difficult. Because you can show certain things, they will say wow, and then they will forget. But if it is something that is syllabus compliant, it remains in their mind forever, and also they get to see the benefit and the direct connections when they read them in their book. So all of this, either electromagnetism or it is on heat transfer or the pH meter based on the ion concentration, whatever you take, you will see there in the class 8, 9, or 10 book. This is what defines our devices to actually teach them the scientific concepts that basic engineering concepts that they actually come from. Yeah. So this is all about these devices, and now what these are the labs. This is a typical look of the lab that we are setting up in the different schools. So far we have set up already in 13 schools in 3 districts, and then 4 schools in Pondicherry, Aravinda Society, and 12 schools in Tutikudi. We are going to set up. We are soon getting into that MOU with HCL. This is a typical look of our lab. It is anywhere starting from the 450 square feet to 700 square feet. Yeah, 400 square feet to 750 square feet, depending on what the schools can afford to give. And this is what it looks. We paint them and for the theme color and things like that. And it has all these devices that you see here are in these cupboards. And then there are a lot of demonstration desks and things like that. Now, let me now give you an idea about what are the components of these labs. Now, as I said, the most important aspect of is this to give them the training of making things. So one component is actually 3D printing training. So we are doing additive manufacturing for the reason that it is easy to understand for the kids, for the teachers, and the most important thing is it is not expensive. Again, we have to keep always the cost in mind. If we bring some equipment which is really expensive, we can't make use of that. So that's why we are taking this approach of 3D printing training to make things, and then as I said, the device engineering training is giving the scientific concepts that we are talking about. It's a 3 years curriculum, kind of, so it starts with 8, 9, and then part of 10 may be full of 11, because 10 is where they're busy with their school boards and things like that, and the class 11 is where they are more matured. They can also see that, slowly get to see where they are going towards in future and things like that. So 8, 9, and full of 11 is what we are targeting as a 3 years curriculum. So it starts with class 8. And as I said, it is not just making. So this is a setup kind of where we use our printers and students comes here and they learn. But we are also looking at what is their working principle there, what is inside, what are the components there inside each of these devices, and therefore they can connect it to their curriculum. So these two together is what our device engineering lab is constituted of. And to give you an idea, a little bit in details about how we do it. For example, again I go back to like one of the examples. For example, what do they start? We give them this device, or we train them this device, let's say. So first thing is that they have to dismantle this device. They have to dismantle this device, and then they get familiar with each and every part of these components that are there and their functionalities. What are they, and what is the goal? And then the scientific concepts and the principle and laws, because that's what connect to their curriculum, that connect to their books. But most important is that next part is a what if. So what is that? What if is basically telling that, well, what if instead of ding dong, I want ding dong ding dong? What if I make this spring, instead of this, make it a stiffer spring, what will happen? What if I want a different frequency in wavelength? All these what if question is actually with an idea that these pushes them towards their own design and their own improvisation. So this is the model that we first primarily And then we have a project through which they improvise certain features, and then they actually make their own stuff. I mean, maybe we can show small videos where they are not trying to make things differently, but using the same principle and concept. Similarly, in the 3D printing training, we have this working principle. For example, these things that you see there, the printed objects. It starts with, again, what is the working principle? If it's a knitting machine, what is the working principle? Number one. Then we go to the drawing and designing in the CAD. That is important because you need to start building the interface between you and the printer. So, and then you have to slice it and then start the printing. And then if you have to really make it market ready, there is some post-processing required, either polishing or other fine-tuning and things like that, some labeling, some things like embossing and things like that, which we are not very good at yet. We are working on it. So these two together builds our modules, and each of these that you see is a module by itself. So we have all of these are very defined, well-documented module, so that any school they want to take or start, we can actually give it to them with some initial period of hand-holding at the beginning, so that they get to actually see the philosophy or idea behind that. So, and all these things are done primarily through experiments, demonstrations, and small group activities, and activities, and sometimes these homeworks also. But these are not typical homework given in the schools, but these are all making related homeworks. So this is the overall content of this device engineering lab. And now it becomes very easy to understand that in the first year curriculum, you have a very simple devices. As you see, we start as simple as soap dispenser, as I was telling. Then the cycle bell, which is essentially talking about the gear and the gear ratio, and of course some sound related as well. How the whistle works, the speakers. These are first year basic things. And in the first year, as far as the printing is concerned, we just give them a training on a very simple printed objects, which are straight objects without any connections and things like that, just to make them familiar with the software and get them familiar with the other slicing and things, other features like that. And similarly, the second year, as you see, it gets slightly complicated. Like we have these weighing machines, how these weighing machine works. These are mechanical weighing machines. Like it is, I mean, it's not very easy for somebody to just understand how the machine works unless you open it and show it that how the load gets transferred through the lever to the gear and then finally to the rotor there. So those things, and then as you see here also, then 3D printing also slightly gets complicated. We have multiple parts now coming into picture. And then how to assemble those things is also important. And then the third year, it becomes slightly even more complicated with this type of devices, how the microwave works, because in class 11, they get familiar with a slightly more complex scientific laws and principle. And then these are expected in the third year, they will be actually making this, and some of them already started making it actually. So the car is yet to be made, but these things are actually already made in our lab, and our students are working with the rural kids actually to make these things. So this is how it evolves over a period. I mean, first year, second year, third year, getting complex both in terms of both the scientific understanding as well as making from the scratch. These are some of the moments from our past where you see that they are engaged in different activities, both here, here as well as sometime when we go to the rural schools. So what is our long-term goal? Now, one of our long-term goals is to create these multiple manufacturing hubs in the rural space. In a brief, that's it. That's what we want to create. Not only just make it, but also take it to the market through our different expertise that we have across the campus. In a brief, that is one of our objectives. Now, as you will, on a side note, I want to mention that now, if you do all these now these days, as you see that we have to become a very environmentally aware of things. So we can't always survive with this type of plastics which are not degradable. So now me and a couple of my colleagues, we are working on actually extracting the cellulose and some form of hemicellulose from different natural products. A lot of flowers are wasted. A lot of flowers are thrown to the water. As you see, the puja is done or the match is over, and that contaminates the water very badly. So we are now started working on a project of extracting this cellulose and hemicellulose from there, and then make the bioplastics out of that. That is one of our future goals. So we can't survive, honestly speaking, we can't survive with these non-degradable plastics. We have to find an alternative. So we started working towards that. You know the water hyacinth. Water hyacinth one is one of the major issues in the water bodies. It has its benefit, but the drawbacks are a lot. So in the same project, we are trying to see how these water hyacinth, they are good fiber materials. So we can bring in those fibers to do the cellulose and mechanically reinforce those and finally come up with products which are more bio-friendly or eco-friendly. So those are long-term that we are working towards, but major objective in a brief is to actually create these manufacturing hubs in this local space. So we have worked almost entire parts of Tamil Nadu, but we could only touch few schools. Now, we can only go to more number of schools with your support and help and cooperation. So I'll come honestly to this slide. I mean, we need your support. So that's what the main objective is. We are getting supports from CSR, certainly. We also need a support from alumni, particularly if you can take, if you are interested, not only this, any other projects, take to your school from where we have come up. That will really create a lot of impact. So just to give you an idea how you can contribute, the major cost, if you look at it, involves in setup cost, is the one major cost, which setup means including painting as well as buying these devices, equipments, and some printers. These printers are not expensive. The printer that you see there is 20,000. So that's not very expensive. When we say printer, these are not expensive printers, but we can also improvise on these printers and make it more, bring in more features and functionalities. That is one cost. The trainer cost is very important. This trainer cost is about 30,000. In Chennai, it's very expensive. Same thing in Bengal, you will get it half the cost. So it depends from place to place, but typically 30,000 per month is what we are looking at the trainer cost. It's important to have a good dedicated trainer. That is where we are spending a lot of time, because otherwise it will be only infrastructure development and then later it will not run. So for an institute like us, it's our responsibility to make sure that they run, not just build the infrastructure. And then the running cost, which includes the class activities and also some maintenance cost. Now, how you can contribute? You can support one school for 3 years. I mean, or you can support, as a group, support multiple schools in a multiple of 3. I will tell why it is multiple of 3 for 3 years. The multiple of 3 is because if you support one school, let's say for 3 years, the trainer that you are engaging, that trainer can be actually used for 3 schools, because no school will give you 3 or 4 days a week to run the show. So you will get hardly 1 or 1.5 day in a rural school that the school can afford to give you. So that means if I'm engaging a trainer and if I have 3 schools, then the same trainer can go to 3 schools. So in that way, there's a resource sharing happened. And 3 is a good number because 3 days they will go to the schools and the remaining 2 days they're actually in the lab to make those different models, to talk among themselves, to create these other things that is necessary to take to the class in the next day. So that's why the 3 in a multiple of 3 is what I have put. Or you can, this is also equally important. We have set up many schools. Now, if you can support a trainer cost for this existing school, that's also really a huge contribution. And then, of course, any other lump sum support for existing schools means welcome, as well. So this is how you can sort of contribute. And I think the other things Sujata will tell you in details about how it can be done and what are the benefits and things like that. But if you have a school in your mind and then you want to set it up there with some name or something like that, we will be happy to do that. But if it would be nice if it is for 3 years, because in that way we can plan things accordingly and then we can take it and run accordingly. So that's what I have a request from our side. So see that you can support. And of course, you can also bring in your other expertise. For example, some of you are in industries. So you know, like, okay, once the product is made, how it will be, what is the best way to take it to the market? So if you have conduct a sessions for the school students or teachers, will be equally useful for us as well. So I will stop here and thank you for your time and patience, and yeah, look forward to work with you.
Thank you, Professor. I now request our CEO, Office of Institutional Advancement, Mr. Kaviraj Nair, to address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. It's always an honor to meet up with senior alumni during the reunion time. Welcome, and hope you have a great time ahead in today's programs. I just want to introduce our office. I work with Professor Mahesh as part of the ACR office, lead the fundraising for the institute, and I'm also an alumnus from the 95-99 batch. Worked with several corporates after that, and joined about 2.5 years back and took up this role. Just to give you some basic updates about our office and some of the key things that we are working on. So last year we raised about 220 crores of funds, roughly half of that from CSR initiatives and another half from alumni. And these were predominantly three set of projects that we deployed them on. One was student-centric projects, which were scholarships and things like that, or setting up the indoor sports complex, several initiatives around that. The second category was on research centers, be it the research on energy by energy consortium or like quantum computing center, or healthcare related projects, or any of those things which are predominantly interdisciplinary in nature and address a particular problem, trying to find solutions for the benefit of the nation at large. These are all scalable projects. As you know, Iit Madras has received the status of Institute of Eminence, and so there are a lot of interdisciplinary centers which have been introduced as launched as part of that. So many of them, all of them are actually address a large problem which can be scaled at a national level and can have a significant impact on the progress of the nation itself in many ways, especially as part of Make in India campaign and things like that. So we work on those things. So many of the alumni have been motivated by the larger vision and goals around those things and wanted to be part of those initiatives. Third, of course, is the infrastructure related ones, like the hostel renovation and things like that, which also ultimately will benefit the student community and the faculty community. So it could be hostel renovation, the Keep It Flowing campaign kind of stuff. One point I wanted to mention specifically is that we have embarked on a very, I will not call it an audacious target, but of making sure that nobody who joins IIT Madras will ever suffer on account of financial distress. Right, so this large endowment campaign around the scholarships is something that we have launched this year, Project Bright Future. So many of our senior alumni have actually expressed interest to be part of that. And we go by the usual government classification of less than 1 lakh annual income. And it's a very unfortunate thing that in spite of, it being 2023 in IIT Madras, there are several students whose annual income actually is less than a lakh rupees. And, considering our fee structure, that's really not a great situation to be in, right? And then the next one is 1 to 5 lakh annual income and 5 to 8 lakh annual income. And there are different fee structures. Of course, the government gives fee subsidy to the initial segments, but then there is living expense and other things that one has to navigate if one has to really eliminate the barriers to entry and make sure that the really meritorious students in this country get an opportunity to blossom into, fine professionals and contribute to the nation building. So in that category itself, while there is a focused effort on creating an endowment which will eliminate this need forever types, I mean, of course, with some caveats around that, there is a here and now need right now. For example, last year we were able to announce that every student in IIT Madras actually has been provided for, and 100% scholarships have been provided. Not necessarily in the endowment mode. Some of them can be in an expense project mode, like, this year you provide. I mean, an endowment is obviously the best ideal situation, but if you don't have that, at least look at the students who are not able to pay this year's fees and at least provide them. So in a more expense mode or a project mode. So when we looked this year's numbers, I think there was about 1 crore deficit, 1.1 crore deficit for this year's students itself, not as an endowment, but in a project mode. So it's a request to the batch to, as you look at various options for, collaborating with the institute and being engaged with the student community here, kindly consider this option of providing financial assistance to our students this year about 1 crore, 1.1 crore about. And if you are able to do that, like last year, we will be able to do an announcement saying that in IIT Madras, nobody has got into a position of distress of not being able to pay the tuition fees and the living expenses, tuition fees, in fact, in this case. So this is my one request. And as about the team, of course, Jada, most of you, of course, she's your batchmate, so I don't have to really introduce or any of that. She has been leading the alumni collaboration side. Apart from that, we have a very professional team right now, totally about 40-45 people, including the various teams. Basically, you have a proposal writing team which departments work with faculty members to try and identify what are the needs of the institute so that we prioritize as per the needs of the institute. There's a natural gravity for such projects to take off because there's a dire need. Right. Second is, of course, going and speaking with alumni and trying to understand their interest areas and arrive at a convergence on that, and also talk about the impact it has created. Right. Very clearly, the alumni support has created significant impact over the years in the institutes. So there is absolutely no gainsaying the fact that alumni support has clearly created a deep impact in the IIT Madras ecosystem, right? If you look around, you will definitely see that. So the third team is then working with the institute to deploy the funds that has been received, making sure that the deployment happens. And the fourth one is the donor stewardship team, which makes sure that the compliance reports, the impact, everybody obviously wants to know the progress of the funds that they have supported, the cost that they have supported. All of that has been communicated, and so this is roughly the structure. And I believe all your details are in our Salesforce CRM. In case you or your batchmates don't get communication from us, or if you think that your details are not there, we run periodic campaigns on WhatsApp and other media to seek details and kindly enter your details, and then it resides with us in the Salesforce database. It will not take much of time. I think this is what I wanted to mainly touch upon. I hope you have a great time, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you, sir. Now request the Secretary of Iit Madras Alumni Association, Mr. Sridhar Bhuvavan, to please address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. And Chennai has to do with rain. So, but the side benefit is that you'll see our campus greener than ever. So well, first of all, welcome back to the campus. If it has been a long time since you've come back, like it was in our reunion, in our silver reunion a little while ago, the campus has changed and changed for the better. And I hope you guys have a chance to go around and see all the greenery that wasn't there when I was there as much, and all the new buildings that have sprouted. So let me introduce myself. I am Sridhar Bhuvaraghavan. I am the current secretary of the Alumni Association. I am a 91 graduate from civil engineering. I studied in the Jamuna hostel. Now, IIT Madras Alumni Association is currently located in the Sudha and Shankar building, contribution from your batch, I believe. So, no, 81 batch. Okay, fine. So you guys have more buildings to contribute, and I look forward to staying in some of those buildings. Okay, so yeah, thank you. I am not going to be. I'm not going to be here to ask or put forward contributions that you can make or projects that you can contribute to. But I'll give you a little background about what the Alumni Association currently does, and all I ask for in turn from you guys is your participation. Okay, so not financial contributions or anything like that. So I was part of the new EC that was elected just a few months ago, and needless to say, I don't know how many of you guys voted. I was one of the candidates for secretary, and I got voted in. So we've all, the new EC members are deadly serious about doing their job. We're all very enthusiastic about making a change. So the 4 areas that we have given ourselves to make a change is we are going to have some programs that mainly benefit alumni. And an example of that could be a group insurance program that we run, right? So we have a group insurance program of alumni, and there are several signature benefits of that program that if you're not part of, I'd really advise you to take a look into it. This is health insurance that I'm talking about. The second type of program is what we are doing here today is reunions or chapter meets at different locations and so on. The third one is to give back to the institute, which is to have alumni get involved in mentoring students. We have two student programs. One is YARI, which is like a buddy program, and the other one is CLICK, which is a little more of a structured coaching mentoring program where alumni go through, pick up a student and then they mentor them through, let's say, a year. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely wish I had that facility when I was in the institute. It would have definitely helped to hear from another person, what are the ways one could navigate, either through the institute, through the semesters that we were studying, or what are the possibilities after you graduate, right? So ours was like, of course, we all found our way, and but there was almost like a herd mentality of like, okay, so everybody is doing this, so I also let me try that out. But if a mentor could have given us more options as to like, okay, so all these are available and here are the career paths that you can choose, it would have definitely worked out better for a lot of us. Not that I would have changed my decision, but I'm just saying that for a lot of others, these could be a very, very important role that a person can play in shaping that person's future, informing him about what he can do. The fourth one is to give back to society. So we have programs that alumni get involved in with like Aquamap or SIAG or places where we go and improve, or the rural interaction centers, which I think you might hear about in your program today, where we go and help set up basically high school tuition, after school tuition in rural areas where such tuition facilities are not available. And this could be, it's a mostly a technology driven program that doesn't cost too much to set up, scale and replicate. And right now it is operational in about 500 villages, about half of them in Tamil Nadu and half of them in UP, in and around Varanasi. And this model is looking to be scaled to other states as well. So these are the four main categories that the Alumni Association tries to operate. And in turn, what am I going to ask from you? One thing that we want to do is to have more events where you guys are located. So like, for example, identify where people are, and our databases, both for the Institute of IAR as well as the Alumni Association office, the databases could be better, right? We have, the last time I was looking for some alumni in Kolkata, recently had gone to watch the World Cup match there, and I found that the information that it threw up and the reality of who was actually there was quite different, right? So our office started an initiative for you guys to update your location. We don't want exact location of your house address, or we are not going to be using that in any way. All we want to do is to find out if I want to have an event in Jaipur, for example, who is actually there in and around in that area, so that we could actually have them, instead of them going to an event in Delhi, which they may have second thoughts of like, okay, it's another whatever 4 or 5 drive on a Sunday. I don't want to do it. Rather, we can have an event in the place where you are, and therefore more meaningful participation from you guys. So that is an effort where we are trying to bring IIT Madras to where you are. You guys have come here. That is another initiative, which is to identify alumni and get them to participate more in programs both of the institute as well as the alumni association. So what I am asking from you guys is there will be surveys or forms that will be asked for you guys to participate, enter data. Please do that. And then after that, based on that data, we will start to create groups, mostly location-based groups. And I ask you guys to participate in these functions wholeheartedly and take part in, again, mentoring. See, the mentoring program that I talked about was to existing students, right? So, but let's say a student has just graduated, right? And he is right now in Jaipur and you are in Jaipur and you are a seasoned professional. You can definitely, he will have questions, he can be mentored as well. But that relationship is not captured in this particular net of the programs that we have. But can actually that interaction that you guys have in the chapter event where you can connect between an older alumnus to a younger alumnus, that can happen. So please do and contribute your time that way. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much and welcome. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, sir. The next address was actually supposed to be by our director, Professor V. Kamkoti. He's running a bit late. Group photo. Please join us for a group photograph. With immense pleasure, I request our director, Professor V. Kamakoti, to please set the gathering.
So, wonderful. Welcome back to your alma mater. I hope we are trying to keep the campus as old looking as possible, but with a lot more of new augmentations. I hope you remember some of the places. I was a student from 1989 to 95. I did my MS and PhD here. So I don't see any big difference as of today. But hopefully 83 also was very similar. And how many people were using the IBM punch card? Almost all of you. Okay. Okay. So on the day we joined in '89, the last bit of IBM was going out, and then we also got a lot of gold in the interconnects. So it has a lot of gold there. Around 20 to 30 sovereigns would have come there. Around 250 grams of gold. Okay. Then, yeah, random computer. No, that still Professor Hema Murthy has so much. All the lecture notes we write on, and it's very nice. Okay, finally we were using it. So, so again, I was in the 10th standard when you all finished your BTech program. So I'm considerably young. Thank you very much for coming here. So we are now trying to give a new sort of last 20 years since I joined, and Professor Anant and followed by Professor Bhaskar, both of them had an illustrious position as a director. We had started focusing IIT onto two important things. One is on the innovation and entrepreneurship, The second one is to see that we start a major outreach program. So one of the important things that had been very much on our minds, when in the last 3-4 years where I had an opportunity to interact very closely with Bhaskar, he also put a lot of things onto my way of thinking, is that we are an institution taking around 750 crores of taxpayers' money, and we need to be relevant to the society much more, not the set of 1,000 plus candidates whom we admit into our campus, but we should have a broader outreach. This all started with Professor Anand when he started this coveted NPTEL program, the National Program for Technology Enhanced Learning. 2005 we started, and we are also blessed with very wonderful faculty like Professor Mangal Sundar, Andrew, Pratap Haridas, and so many people who had given up a lot of their Bhatnagar awards and other things, just sacrificed their lot of time to come and put this National Program for Technology Enhanced Learning in a proper perspective. Friends, when COVID struck in 2020, NPTEL was the only platform where an Indian student could go and clarify the doubts, because there was no access to the college. And we saw a massive rise in the online education, especially at COVID. 2005, when Professor Anant and Professor Mangal Sundar even conceived of this idea, they never thought of a lockdown in a country due to a pandemic, right? So from that we have been working very consciously, and now we have completely rebranded ourselves and said that this is IIT Madras, an institute for all, right? And so we started the BS Data Science program. I'll just talk about the BS Data Science program and a couple of the social initiatives. Then I'll come into some of the technical initiatives that we are taking, just to give you a feel where your alma mater is going. And I'll also take back some questions from you and suggestions, which we can go back. Reunions have been a very good learning lesson for particularly myself and Mahesh. We've been interacting with so many of the seniors, and we've got excellent views. The BS Data Science program, we found around 2016 that data science is going to become a big show. So around 2019, it took us 2-3 years. Of course, we have a very powerful Senate. We have around 642 faculty members. So this is a kingdom with 641 kings and 1 sevak, that's the director. And that is what we are all proud of, because this gives us the autonomy and the freedom of speech. So we run a very democratic setup Senate, which deliberated for more than 3 years, 2.5 years to be very precise. And we came up with this excellent idea of this BS Data Science program, which doesn't have an entry age gap. No, it's not some age that you need to come. Doesn't have, it's online, it's sort of hybrid, because we have live classes also. And there is a very vibrant interaction platform. It is not that Khan Academy sort of online program, where you just pay the fees and just go and come back, right? So this is very live. There is a lot of mentorship that goes on. There are instructors. There are assignments that are done where you need to go to a particular center. It's a proctored assignments. There's a proctored quizzes and proctored examinations. So as you know, the same strictness. How many are ethical people here? So Ante D6, okay, to be very clear, strictness is what is followed. So they will understand. I think you understood in very, very precise terms. So, and then we also have a multiple exit, because there are people who would like to just have an understanding of this, and they will build on that. We have, at the end of the first year, we have something called a certificate. The second year, we have diploma, and third year BSc, and fourth year a BS. So multiple exit programs. And the entry is by a very strict eligibility test, which, unlike the JEE, your calculus and conics and Pulleys and Resnick-Hallidays and Gladstone-Lewis, there's more of a logical, analytical thinking and a lot of reasoning, plus some amount of computational abilities that we bring in here. And there's an eligibility test here. So what had happened of this, friends, I'm very happy to tell you that we have 25,000 students enrolled at different stages. Age is between 17 and 82. That 81-year Tata failed. He was very sad. He came. I'm very depressed. I didn't get through. I told that tweets. So I have an 82-year, and I also wished next year. It's 1 year old. Tata, I finish off in 3 years. Let me have the pleasure of signing before my term ends. Okay, your degree certificate. So we see father, son obviously doing better than the father. Okay, and son-in-law, father-in-law, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law. Nice combinations we see. I also, last time I saw son, father, mother, also family. So they also told that they sit in the dining table and discuss data science. And so it's a family program. So the landscape of education, we are able to bring a marked change. And so it's a tireless work. Started with Professor Bhaskar. And the complete implementation came when I took over, and it's going very well. It has been. It's also rated number one online program by the QS ranking, right? So this is the world's perception on this. Now we are getting a lot of scholarships for really downtrodden people. Because for them to clear the eligibility test is much easier. Many people who don't have access to quality coaching class for your JEE Advanced, they are coming here and doing it on full-time basis. And we are getting a lot of scholarships to support their fees, and they can stay at home. We give them a laptop, and mostly data science. So they also have to log in on the cloud, and they do the work, and they're doing phenomenally well. At this point, when we started this IITM for all, we went to around 60 corporation schools, took over 2,000 children and gave them a very simple test. And from that shortlisted around 200 as an experimental basis, trained them for 3 months for the eligibility test. We did not lower the standard, but we trained them for. Friends, you won't believe a kid who lost her father, mother is a housemaid, cleared this 3-hour test in 1.5 hours, scored 80% marks, right? And she's doing well. Her CGPA is 9.2. Okay, this is really a revelation for us, and this is where we strongly believe that as an IIT Madras, we are now reaching to the real, democratization of this education. So this is one, friends. We have started this. We are also now started BS in electronic systems, because semiconductors is coming up very much. The government of India has announced a semiconductor policy, a semiconductor mission now, with initial outlay of $10 billion. So we are also responding to it because I'm from computer science department. So right from monkey of IIT Madras wants to do only machine learning. Okay, so I work in the area of architecture. I'm not getting people to work in architecture. Okay, so I have changed now, saying I'm doing edge AI architecture. Okay, so trying to do those things. So we need to develop people with an interest in electronics, otherwise it doesn't stick. So we started this BS in electronic systems, and already we have seen 800 students who have joined this year. And now we are talking of hundreds, right? So when you all, what was your entire batch strength into some 20 or 30 times is what our admissions are going to be. Friends, our vision is that we want to have total enrolled strength of 50,000 students, in which 12,500 will be this campus. This campus cannot take more than 12,500. As you know, it has become more greener, and we also have a lot of black bucks now. We have around 80 black bucks, very small, tiny to very big dadas. We have a lot of monkeys. So goes like, what do you find in IIT Madras? Deers, monkeys, professors, students. Okay. So we can't grow beyond 12,500. But when the remaining 37,500 will be online. We are looking at around 25 to 30,000 on the data science, around 5,000 on the electronic system. We also have taken upon us, so these are some things that we are exploring, the power of autonomy. that we would like to generate the best maths teachers down the line. And we have started this program, which is called ITEP. It is an integrated teaching some blah, blah, program of government. Now we are trying to give a new color to this. So we will be doing a BSc Math plus Computing plus B.Ed along with Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And we would like to come out with, every year we would like to graduate in the next 3 years, in the next 4 years. It's an integrated 4-year program. Around 500 good maths teachers who can go into different Kendriya Vidyalayas and other things. So that maths today is I don't know, maybe you all have grandchildren or children, and maths has been always a terror for many of them. I think that's also a social cost that we have taken, and we'd like to see around 5,000 students in this maths. So at least 500 of them will graduate as good teachers. So 50,000 IIT Madras alumni per year. Now we have around 62,000 total alumni. But we like to double it every year now. So we want to go in that total enrolled student will be 50,000. We would like to give around 12,000 to 13,000 degrees every year. Now we have 2,000. We want to make it 6x into this. So these are our interest in taking IIT forward. The next is that we have started working with schools because we believe that friends, we have been rated number 1 in the country for the 8th consecutive time under the National Institutional Ranking Framework. So when the 8th time the announcement came, I was there to receive the award from the Honorable Minister. So one of the reporters asked, "Are you happy?" I said, "I'll be happy when India's GER touches 50%." Right? Today GER is at 30%. Maybe, in my opinion, around 30 to 32%. Probably there's some aberrations there. That means 70 of every 100 kids do not come to higher education. And being the topmost higher education institution, what should I feel happy about it? So we want to touch up to 50. GER's gross enrollment ratio. Okay. So how many people of the 12th standard move to the +2? So in this, what we have done, friends, we have taken 2 major efforts. Effort number 1 is that we have set up rural interaction centers. January 2022, I took over, and February 2022, we got 5 rural interaction centers, which will have a TV of this size, plus a camera and an internet connection. Volunteers and some school teachers from reputed schools, very well accomplished teachers, they will talk to the kids between 6 to 8 every day. And we started off in February 2022. March, I had a request from one of the villages. It's all in villages. That, sir, we don't have biology teachers, and we are interested in biology. We are failing in biology because we don't know what to write. Can you help us? So there are only 2 months more for the examination. So we immediately arranged biology teachers from here. Friends, you won't believe kids who are getting 11 to 20 range out of 100 cleared the biology exam with 91 out of 100 and got into Shastra University in Tanjavur there and in a course. So this is the impact that we have. A small intervention, it's not very costly, but very small intervention, could tap the rural intelligence and make them really good. So we thought that if at all we want to project an answer for the improvement of this GER, the National Education Policy has set a goal of improving this GER to 50% by 2030. The reason why that Professor Kasturi Rangan was the author of this has come out, the reasoning is today we are the youngest population in 15 to 25, we are the youngest population in the world. And if we don't do the education right now, properly, next 10 years we'll become the most uneducated country, and that will have a lot of social backlashes and so many other things. So we started that, and today, friends, we have touched 200 rural interaction centers, 100 in UP, 100 in Tamil Nadu. We talk to the kids in Hindi and Tamil. Last financial year, the pass percentage of this rural, wherever we had intervened, those schools, increased from 50% to 98%. So this is the very interesting thing. And those kids, everybody has ensured that they have gone into the school. Now we are working with the government to expand this more and more. So what I will also request seniors, my seniors, okay, is that if you find time, you can basically participate by talking to these kids, right? So we want to have a very strong alumni of IIT Madras addressing these kids, talking about higher education, convincing them to come study more, study for data science. Say that teacher will teach you this, learn this, you have a bright future. And every week they need to see a different face so that they also get inspired and go on. And this is something we'll be requesting you to take forward. We also did another, now instead of just India, can we do something further? So Sri Lanka has been a very important destination, and they are basically looking forward to India, looking into India for education. They believe that Indian education can give much more salvation for many of their educational needs. So we have set up more than 8 rural interaction centers in Sri Lanka today, because they are also talking Tamil, in Tamil, Kandy, Kilinochi and all these places. So 8 centers in Sri Lanka. So we are becoming international in terms of this RICs, which we have started. Our dream this year is to make it to 500 by the end of this financial year, and all these are run through CSR programs, the Corporate Social Responsibility Program. Many industry are coming forward, many banks are coming forward. Wherever they have an ATM, they want to go and set up this. Things are going very well in this direction. We also started for 252 government schools. One of our alumni gave a very good funding. We have started a 4-year electronics introduction program. We have developed a in-house electronic kits, like what Piju showed you, another electronic kit, where 9th standard, 10th standard, 11th standard and 12th standard, they can do around 25 experiments in each year. End of the 12th standard, they will do also a capstone project. And the electronic fundamentals, electrical and electronic fundamentals they get, will help them clear courses up to the 3rd year of BE. And hopefully they get inspired into this. So we identified 252 government schools of Tamil Nadu. From there we got 504 teachers, 2 from each, and then trained them, and also made lectures in video lectures in Tamil and English. And we have given them, and we are giving them 10 kits each of these schools. Each of these schools, in each class, 100 in 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th, so 400. 400 into 250, 100,000 children will be educated through this IIT Madras initiative, government school children below poverty line. And every year, 25,000 students will come out with knowledge basic electronics. And I have even the most pessimistic thing, even if 20% of them get interested in electronics, we are trying to make it so attractive. So 5,000 of them will go to an electronic course with an interest to study electronics, not because they did not get computer science. Okay, so that's the most important point. And these come out as good electronic engineer. I think that will be a very good answer for the semiconductor human capacity building for our state of Tamil Nadu. Today, Foxconn CEO and many other CEOs had come here. They want to set up their OSAT facility, semiconductor manufacturing facility, but they say, I rarely find people other than IIT fellows who can even explain Kirchhoff's law, explain what a Zener diode is, right? How can I do that? And your guys go to high frequency trading, they don't come to, right? So this is the vast difference. I think that type of an intervention also, as your alma mater, we are trying to do. So these are 2 things. We have also started many finishing school programs. We also have a target of 25,000 rural children visit IIT every year to feel, let them just breathe the air of IIT. Just look at this place, look at. So we have done that very systematically. We are now doing that. So this is all about our a tip of our social outreach. We have many other social outreach programs. The next one is that we had gone global. Friends, we are the first ever IIT to set up a first ever international campus, and in Zanzibar. And so when the national education policy started talking about Vishwaguru, and then there was some committee set up by the ministry under the chairmanship of Dr. Radhakrishnan, the ex-ISRO chairman, on basically trying to come up with what should be an international campus. As such, they left the implementation details to the respective institutes. So we just looked at three important things. First, they should, everywhere I go, they should need us, right? If I go to some other country, they'll look at us like a plumber, right? Because we went initially as plumbers there. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We want to really go where they really need us. They respect us as teachers. And then their government should support us. Without their government support, we can't do anything. And then third thing is the school education system should be good. I can't go and admit our own Indian kids there. Right? I have to admit their local kids, then only there will be a participation there. So East Africa ticked on all these things. From the day myself, the secretary and the honorable minister, we had a discussion about where to set up, and it was a suggestion from the minister says, look at Tanzania, it will be good, all these things. From that day till our external affairs minister went and signed the MOU there. Friends, it was just 6 months, right? 2 cabinet approvals, everything set. Within 2 weeks of us expressing the interest, the entire team, the political team, including the education minister of Zanzibar, was here. They spent 2 full days. So that's the support that they have given. They have already allocated 232 acres of sea facing on the coastline thing in Zanzibar. Beautiful place. So I was also thinking who will go to Zanzibar. On the first day when I showed a very beautiful, clear, sea with a starfish down. That photo I just circulated. 200 of our 600 faculty said, "Come, I would like to go." Right? So we have a very wonderful thing, and I'm also very happy that Preeti Agalyam, much junior to all of you, she's also an alumnus of IIT Bombay, 95, very junior to you, 12 years junior to you. She's the first director and in charge, and she's the first ever woman director of any IITs. And that Iit Madras also, that way your alma mater is also bringing that unique feature. And she has taken over, and the first batch we started on 24th October, which happens to be Vijayadashmi plus also United Nations Day. So we are offering a couple of courses there, one data science and AI, BS, and an MTech in data science and AI. And we'll also be starting an MTech in ocean engineering. They are very much interested in mining, metallurgy and mining and ocean engineering. And electronic systems. So these are some of the things. So we are going in a very massive mode on this internationalization, and I believe with all the support that we have got, within 1 year we will basically have the new campus ready, and undoubtedly we will be the best campus in the Africa continent. So this is also something which I could tell that we have taken a step and a novel experiment, and this is also not just, we are not looking at anything like, people were asking, are you looking at, is the government looking at soft power? They are nothing. We have gone with a lot of love and affection. We want to build trust between the Africa and India. I'm a director of IIT, so I only talk about Iit Madras. So we want to develop a very good relationship between the African universities and Iit Madras. A relationship that is based on trust and love and affection. So that is the way we have gone. So it all worked out, clockwork, God's grace. And so this is a very big thing that we achieved. Friends, the other thing that I would also like to say about our alma mater is that there was a strong need for having medical technology, medtech, to grow in a big way. And if you look at the medical stack, there are 4 layers of this medical stack. You have the genomics, anatomy, physiology, biology. Then you have the physiological modeling of the human body. Then comes the, the pharmacology and medical devices, and finally clinical applications. If you take a traditional biological science or a MBBS program, they talk about a lot of anatomy, physiology, genomics, etc. Then they go to a bit of pharmacology and then take to clinical applications. Biomedical takes a lot of devices and then they would do a bit of modeling and then go to the clinical applications. I hope many of you would have read the book called Virtual You, right? It's a digital twin type of a thing. Virtual You is something where I understand the entire human body from a engineering perspective, because a lot of the working of our components can be mapped onto many of your engineering concepts. So there is not a single course in the world which actually does this in a comprehensive manner, and that's a big survey that we did. We have an international advisory committee. Brian Kobilka, 2012 Nobel laureate, is also part of that international advisory committee. So we went for at least 7-8 months, we deliberated. Then we got a bunch of around 10 doctors who formulated the syllabus. And today, friends, we have launched a BS in Medical Sciences and Engineering. It's a state-of-the-art course, very well acclaimed. We also had a very big review by AIIMS, India's #1 medical institution. The doctors spent 1.5 days here. 8 doctors came here to review the syllabus. And all of them were really surprised by the syllabus. So we have started the Department of Medical Sciences and Technology. We have 10 doctors who are professors of practice, all big names, all very successful cardiologists, successful nephrologists, successful ophthalmologists, and many of them. And then we have 6 professors now, and we'll be recruiting another 4. So we are now forming a department of around 20 people. The BS in Medical Sciences and Engineering was launched in July 2023. So the admission to this program is through the ICER aptitude test. If you take your JE Advanced, our JE Advanced, then we get this 10,000 plus rankers coming to these biological sciences, and they just come and ask for a branch change, and then finally land up with Java coding. Okay, so this is what's happening. So we wanted people with more scientific temper. So ICER aptitude test gives that scientific temper there. So there are 125,000 students who write this ICER aptitude test. And I thought that we'll have some 5,000 ranker or something, opening rank, etc. But friends, you won't believe, in the top 100, we have 22 of them who have joined. The 30 seat, the top 100, 22 of the 30 seats have been from the top 100 students. So we have brilliant students who have joined this. So this, I believe, is going to be a real game changer for IIT Madras, the Medical Sciences and Technology and BS. And starting January 2024, we are going to start the MD PhD program, where doctors will start working with engineers to propose some very good research. Friends, I will also like to tell you that 37% of the Nobel laureates are physician scientists. Okay, so my aim is the next 10 years we should have at least one Nobel laureate from IIT Madras. So this is the vision by which we are starting. Very lofty goals, but not unsurmountable. Hope I'm not boring. No. I'm a prof, I'm used to talking. Okay, please stop me. So last, I want to tell you that we are going very much on the innovation and entrepreneurship. If IIT Madras students cannot be entrepreneurs, who else can be? This is the notion. With the days where we were doing BTech, these sort of facilities were not there. We were looking at, startup is something, which we could not have even dreamt of. The word itself did not exist. But today, today we have a very well-established system. So I suggest that you visit the C5, the Center for Innovation, if possible. We have set up something called an entrepreneurship stack, where somebody comes with an idea, they can go out with a product and a startup. So we have C5, which will convert an idea into a design. Then we have Nirman, which is a pre-incubator, both of them heavily funded by the alumnus, which will convert the design into a prototype. Then we have 5 incubators, the mother incubator, IIT Madras Incubation Cell. Then we have specific focused incubator on health technology, bio, cyber physical system and rural technologies, plus anything else would come under the incubation cell. And we are basically making them incubate companies. And then we have the Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center, which basically mentors them to make them big. So we have currently 400 incubated companies of IIT Madras in our incubation cell with a valuation of $5 billion, so 40,000 crores, and we have an average of 2% stake in that. And this year alone, we are targeting around 100 companies to be incubated from IIT Madras. My target for my term, which I have another 3 more years to go, is that at the end of another 3 years, at least 20% of our students should join, should be either entrepreneurs, they have their own startups, or they join a startup incubated by IIT Madras. And if that happens, I think we are making a big mark. Last year, friends, after a lot of work, one of our 3D printed rocket, we have a rocket factory in the research park. You can go and visit there. We 3D print rocket engines. Within 72 hours, we can print 4 rocket engines, and these rocket engines can take this rocket to a low Earth orbit, which is around 350 kilometers, right? So this is a very big novel innovation, and very shortly they will be launching their first parabolic launch. AgniCool has been the 6th largest recruiter with 18 offers last year. So slowly we are seeing that thing growing. We also saw very good exit. We invested 20,000 bucks, exactly 3,200 rupees in a company called GUI, and they exited with 4.5 crores. MediBuddy exited with 14.5 crores. We invested 4,500 rupees or something in that in the equity. And the Unifor also exited. So we see good exits coming in the tens of crores. But then we have major projects like AgniCool, Iit Energy, and many things. So we will be getting many more exits. The funding which comes back on the startups that we invest and the mentorship that we provide will give your alma mater more and the director more money so that he could stretch his arms and do something more creative. And we also have a discovery campus, which is 25 kilometers away from us. And there you see E-plane, AgniCool, a high pressure gas testing facility, a major port center around 2.5 acres where you can simulate a sea today. We can simulate vessels, we can simulate harbors. So it's a massive infrastructure. If you have time, you can go there. We have deers here, there are pigeons there, there are peacocks there, and it's a very nice place. Government of Tamil Nadu has given 250 years, and we are doing many activities. We call it the Discovery Campus, where we bring in new technologies. We have the Hyperloop, which is, and if things go well, we will have the largest Hyperloop track in the world of around 450 meters, half a kilometer track. And that will be the largest test track. And if things go well, by March, we would like to have the first international Hyperloop competition, which was held somewhere with Elon Musk. He closed that facility. Now we want to do it and take it forward. So these are some things that we are trying to do to put IIT Madras really on the mark. Right? And on the patenting side, which is also very important, we have a complete AI-enabled tool, which basically you submit an idea, it will tell you all the competing patents, and if you want to commercialize that idea, what is the total addressable market. So it's a very good AI-enabled tool done by a Chandigarh-based company. And friends, last year we filed around 249 patents. This year we have already crossed 200 in this financial year. We're going almost 6 months, so we are growing a patent a day. So I told the team this year is 365, next year 2024 it should be 366. Okay, being a leap year. So we're working on that, and we also had 190 grants last year. So in the last 6 years, none of the patents that we have filed have been bumped. So that's also something very predominant. And we are now going on into extensive marketing of these patents. We also want to see certain infringement and get back this thing. So these are some very big attempts we are trying to do on the innovation and entrepreneurship. And I feel that is, we are doing good on the papers IEEE transactions, fundamental research, things are going fine. Of course, we need more of infrastructure. What I also studied is what's the difference between MIT and IIT. Um, One paper of a particular researcher needs to go to Nature, they need LEAP 8.6, and I have LEAP 7.1. Okay, there's a difference. And what it means, I need another 30 crores. Okay, right? So if a director of an institute has 500 crores every year of stretching, then it's done. We next 5 years of careful spending, we can really reach the top in terms of the publication. Of course, perception and other things are there, but in terms of the publication. So that brings to the last point. I just found out that each one of you, we have subsidized you 7 times during your education. So if you can contribute 2% of your annual income for next 5 years, and even if 40% of the 62,000 alumni can do that, we will reach 10,000 crores. And that gives with 5% annual yield. The investment gives 8%, so that 3% will invest it back so that it will continue sustain. So will give us this 500 crores. So I also request all of you to seriously consider and encourage your many friends to do that, so that we will get that what you call as the IIR, which is the Innovation, Infrastructure and Research Fund, which is sort of a lubrication for us, for the director and the administration, to basically invest on some of these very good ideas, so that we take your alma mater to a very, very bigger spot in the world. So with this thing and my Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi, I stop myself. Thank you for listening and very hearty welcome.
Thank you, Professor. I would like to thank the alumni from the class of 1983, some of us who have joined here, and those who are attending virtually, for coming together for this reunion. I hope you have a wonderful time catching up with each other. I would like to thank the teams from Iit Madras Alumni Association and the Office of Alumni and Corporate Relations who have put together this beautiful event. Thank you, one and all. I request you all, please rise for the national anthem.
शुभ नामे जागे शुभ आशीष मागे जय 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 जय
Thank you, everybody. We will now be taken to Professor Manivanna's lab for a small visit.